Hey there, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg. I'm super thrilled you're here, and I am excited about Creativity Tuesday. You might not be listening to this on a Tuesday, but heck, why not? Every Tuesday, I do an episode about creativity, how to build yours, how to appreciate it, how to explore it, and how to unleash that unique creative genius that is yours and yours alone. Today, I'm going to focus on writing, and one of my favorite ways of unleashing creative writing abilities and your particular creative writing abilities is to give prompt words. I find that constraints are fabulous. What they do is they give your brain an arena in which to play. So often when I run my Tell Your Story Better workshops with companies and organizations, we do a similar writing activity to the one I'm about to detail for you, and I'm going to invite you to do it too. But first, I'm going to do something a little different. In the writing group, in the Vegan Writers of New York City writing group, we meet every other week. And if you're a vegan writer in New York City and you want to join, hit me up. I would love to have you. I'm sure the rest of the group would as well. But that's beside the point. Most of you are not in New York City, but here's the thing. One of the things that we do pretty much every meeting nowadays is we do this writing exercise. I have these cards with random words on them, an object, a location, and a profession. And everybody chooses, one person chooses one object, one person chooses a location, one person chooses a profession, and then we write a story incorporating those words, using those constraints. So if you get a word that you have to incorporate into a story, that's a constraint. That's a sort of, those guardrails from when you're bowling, and when you're a little kid, they put up those guardrails. So the ball kind of goes in the direction of the pins, and the guardrails help keep it going without letting it go into other people's lanes and all of that. So this is kind of the same thing. The prompt words provide that constraint, that container, if you will, a crucible. Oh, I love that. Prompt words provide a crucible for you to write your story or for you to tell your story. So this is what I'm going to do right now. This last meeting, we had a fun couple of words, 3 words that were chosen. They were soldier, diner, and ring. And since those prompt words provide the crucible for storytelling, I'm going to read you the little story that I wrote. Now, here was the exercise. We chose the cards, and we only had 10 minutes to write the story. So I'm going to read you the story exactly as I wrote it, and you'll see that you can create an amazing, if I say so myself, or at least fun and not too terrible story from these prompt words. The prompt words were: the profession was soldier, the location was diner, and the object was ring. And here's the story I wrote. And at the end, I'm going to give you actually your own prompt words. So if you want to participate in this and you want to write your own prompt word story, I would love to hear what it is once you do, but I'll give you the prompt words after I read you the story. So here is the story from Soldier, Diner, and Ring. This was written by me, Isolde Trachtenberg, by the way, on Sunday, October 17th, 2021. Here we go. Millie's Diner bustled with Saturday shoppers and teenagers who wanted to appear cool. "Hand me that tray," Deb called to Helen as she zigged and zagged her way through the crowd waiting to get seated. "Miss, we've been waiting for half an hour to get seated," one of the patrons whined at her. "I'm sorry, sir. We're understaffed today. I'll be right with you," Deb managed as she swung toward the counter and deftly picked up the tray laden with burgers and fries. She wound through to the other side of the diner and deposited the burgers to a table of cheerleaders on their way back home from a game. "Honey, you show them a lot more patience than I would," Helen murmured as they filled 2 more trays to take over to various complaining customers. As Deb approached the line again, another man whined at her. "Miss, we're all waiting. Can't you hurry those kids up?" "Sir, everyone gets to stay as long as they need to," she smiled through gritted teeth and served table 7. It felt like some sort of bizarro dance, she thought. She was dog-tired. Her feet ached, but this was a Saturday afternoon in Tuscaloosa Falls. You did your job, and you went out and partied in the evening and tried to forget your boyfriend in Iraq. She'd grabbed yet another tray full of French fries and shakes and headed out to make her delivery. "Miss, I've been waiting for what feels like 2 years. A soldier blocked her way. She froze and gaped. "Ryan?" Deb whispered. "What are you doing here?" "Like I said," he answered as he dropped to one knee. "I've been waiting for what feels like 2 years." He pulled a small blue box out of a pocket of his fatigues. He opened it, and a gorgeous sapphire ring glittered on a satin bed. "Deb, I love you, and I'm only here for 24 hours on leave, but if I didn't do it now, it was never going to happen. So, will you marry me?" One of the people in line took the tray from her nerveless fingers. She covered her mouth with them and stared at the tall, blue-eyed man who'd left her the morning after prom almost 2 years ago. He was a stranger, and yet more familiar to her than her own reflection. "Yes," she said. "Forever and for always, yes." So I wrote that story based on those prompt words. As you could tell, it takes place in a diner, and a soldier came back from war to ask his beloved to marry him, and he had a ring. And you can tell that there's something there that allows a story to be born as you do it, as you create it. So I'm going to give you some prompt words, and I'm going to give you a profession, a location, and an object, and I'm going to spin them out of my head as I'm talking about it, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and figure out a story that you can write using that constraint. So here we go. We're going to do tape measure as the object, physicist is the profession, and the beach is the location. So see if you can write a story about a tape measure, a physicist at the beach. And I'd love to hear it. If you write a story about it, if you take 10 minutes and see what kind of story comes up out of you, I would love for you to let me know what it is. It's a fabulous way of doing something that is going to unlock that ability to create, because you're not sitting there facing a blank page. You have an object, a subject of your story, you have a location for your story, and you have at least one profession. Feel free to add others. But do you see what I mean? How once you get even just a little bit of possibility there, you can start writing all sorts of incredible tales. You can have the beach be the beach right off New York City. You can have the beach be off the third moon of Jupiter. Anywhere you want the beach to be, it can be. It doesn't have to be on Earth. It doesn't have to be in New York. It can be somewhere beautiful and tropical. It can be anywhere your heart desires, but make it a beach. And the same thing with the tape measure. Does the tape measure English measurements or metric or something completely different? Are you going to write a fantasy novel that takes place somewhere else where someone is measuring in cubits, not in inches? Whatever it is, you get to write it. And a physicist might be looking at physics in the third dimension, by the way, or they might be looking at physics in the 9th dimension. So see what frees up in your imagination and see what kind of story you can tell. I myself am probably going to write something about a physicist measuring cubits on the third moon of Jupiter from the 9th dimension. I think that might be cool. Anyway, I would love to hear your story. Anytime you can give yourself those constraints, it will help you create whatever it is you're trying to create. I promise you. I hope you enjoyed today's fun episode, and I hope you enjoyed the story. If you're liking these shorter Tuesday through Friday episodes, drop me a line and let me know, or it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review of the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. That would be really, I would love it if you would. That would be really amazing. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Until next time, this is Isolde Trachtenberg for the Innovative Mindset Podcast, reminding you to listen, learn, laugh, and love a whole lot.